This is me on my first cut, and this is me on my bulk. Okay, so my promise to you is that by the end of this video, you will have all the knowledge needed to be able to improve your gains the next time you go to the gym. So we're gonna be talking about your music, breathing, stuff like that, which can really help you increase your gains ASAP. Before we start, my name is Aris, also known as Screw Mediocrity, and I'm a leader of young men trying to pick their attractiveness and improve their mindset so that they are ready for success. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is enhanced muscle activation and also why you shouldn't listen to music with lyrics while you're working out. Most of the times when I work out, I listen to music through my AirPods. It's much better for me to listen to whatever I want rather than listening to whatever the gym has to offer, which most of the times is shit and isn't really motivational or isn't really my style. So I much rather prefer wearing these. But what I've noticed is, like a few days ago actually, I went to the gym in my garage because I didn't have time to go to the actual gym and I didn't want to use my AirPods at that time. So I was just like, okay, let me just put it on speaker and listen to music like all that. I didn't want to use my AirPods to listen to music, so I was just like, okay, put it on speaker, that's it, let me just listen to my music like that. And that's what I did. But there's one thing that I really noticed which helped me just focus way more on, building my muscle, on the exercise rather than the music. Because whenever you have like headphones, which are like noise cancellation headphones in your ears, you tend to focus way more on the music rather than your mind muscle connection. I think you have heard of that before. Basically, it's whenever your muscles and your mind are connected in a way that it just basically helps you concentrate way more on that particular muscle group that you want to grow rather than just it just being like vaguely all around your shoulders or like different parts of your shoulder, right? So let's say this is the part of the shoulder that I want to work on. So what I do is, rather than me listening to music and not being focused on the muscle and like training the other parts or not specifically being focused on this part here, it's much better for me to not listen to music, right, in my ears with noise cancellation and rather listen to music which is like behind me on speakers. That way, whatever exercise you're doing, it's just much easier for you to focus on the actual exercise and on the muscle. And that's what we want. We don't want you to just go to the gym and listen to music and just lift a few weights like a monkey and leave, right? That's level one stuff. What we want to focus on is how to boost that muscle gain, how we want to boost that particular like part of your muscles which you want to focus on, which are the weak points right now. And of course, don't listen to music that has lyrics in them, especially music that you like. Because, we all like some type of music, like the early 2000s music or any other type of music which has lyrics in them, right? And we just jam to it. We just want to sing a little bit. But then that also distracts even more from the actual exercise. So rather than listening to music that has lyrics, and especially lyrics that you understand, right? So let's say, for example, you speak English. Don't listen to any music that's in English. Listen to music that is in Japanese. For example, what I listen to is Brazilian funk a lot of the time, and it's in Brazil, which I don't understand. So it's kind of like a vocal, but I don't really get what they're saying. So I'm not really focused on what the person is saying in the music. I'm focused on the exercise way more. The best option would be to listen to some lo-fi or different type of music that doesn't have any lyrics in them, right? That way, you're going to be able to focus much easier on the exercise because like those small changes can make a huge difference in the way you build your muscle. And we want to maximize that as much as possible. And this is one of the best and easiest ways because it's literally like, okay, I just take out my headphones, I put them inside, boom, that's it. Or you just listen to some music which doesn't have any lyrics. But in my opinion, not plugging earphones into your ears and listening to like music from the gym or just focusing on the actual exercise is much better for you to grow your muscles. If you're a beginner, this doesn't really matter because whatever you do, you're gonna grow. But if you want to boost yourself, if you feel like I want to boost my gains a little bit, but I don't know exactly how, rather than me giving you some basic ass tips, I'd much rather give you this because it's like you're inputting something into your brain while you're working out. Of course, it could detriment your gains. So why not use it in a way that's beneficial for you? So it gives you that motivation and whatever you feel like it needs. and also for it not to be a detriment to your gains. That's the first thing. The second thing is to breathe properly. So a lot of the times I've been doing this mistake myself, which is going to the gym and listening to music, or in general just not being focused on the actual exercise and not breathing properly. So a lot of the times when I used to do push-ups as well and any other exercise, so for some reason I just do this thing where I inhale, I do like 3, 4, 5, 6 reps of my exercise, and then I exhale and then inhale again. So that's why my dad always told me to inhale and exhale every time I do a rep, because that's the best way to be full of energy and not lose like the last 3 to 4 reps just because you don't have enough energy in you. And that's what I've noticed since the last few weeks. That this has been a huge problem. So in my opinion, what you should be doing is, before pushing up the weights or pulling them towards you, what you should be doing is inhaling and then exhaling whenever you already pushed it to the top, or you did your bicep curl or whatever you have to do. That way, you're just kind of like inhaling and you're ready with that energy inside you to push up, and then you exhale when you're already done, right? So kind of think it like that, okay, I'm getting my energy now before I do the rep. And then when you do the rep, you exhale and do the exact same thing over and over again for every single rep. So that way you're going to have oxygen everywhere all the time, so that you don't have a problem while exercising. And that's also like a small boost, which I know most people know, but sometimes you're gonna have to be reminded that, okay, you have to breathe properly, because I have been reminded before, but then once I stopped getting those reminders, I started getting back into the habit of not breathing properly. So that's why I'm telling you this, to remind you whenever you go back to the gym to breathe properly every single time, and don't be afraid to make any sounds. Breathe like a king, like this. Don't be afraid to make sounds. Breathe like you own the place, because nobody's gonna tell you anything. What are they gonna tell you? Like, why are you breathing so loud? They won't tell you that. Like, most people are scared shitless to even tell you anything about what you're doing, right? So breathe however you want, because that way, when you breathe, first of all, you're getting a fuck ton of oxygen. You feel relaxed. You know, you don't have any problems. And believe me, like, a lot of the problems that we have is just because we don't breathe properly. So believe me, breathing properly, like deep inhales and exhales, that's the way to go. So because I've started my bulk, I've increased the reps and the weight that I use on my machines or whatever. It helps me gain way more muscle that way, because I am putting way more pressure on my muscles, and that's what, and basically pain equals gain. So the more weights and the more reps you do, the better for you. So what I did before is, for some reason, I was stuck with 12 reps. So almost for every single exercise, I've been doing 12 to 15 reps. And I thought that, once I hit those 12 reps, that I should stop. But the problem is that it hurts at some point when you're starting off. But then your body gets used to it. And now you're just doing 12 reps like it's nothing. Do you feel like you can still gain muscle when it's easy for you to lift those 12 reps? Of course not. That's why you have to increase them to 15, like from 12 to 15, 15 to 20. But because it's like a little bit hard to do that, because your brain and my brain as well, like, it was conditioned to do this in a way that I basically conditioned my brain that above 12 reps it's too much, and I just felt way more pain in my arms or whatever muscle group I was working on. And that's a problem, because we need to reprogram that, but slowly, right? We don't want to push ourselves too much. So that's this thing that I do on the first set, is that I increase the reps by 2. So for example, we're doing like 12 reps, I do 14. On the second set, I do 15. And then I do like 17, 18, like 2 or 3 more every single time. That way, it just helps to build that muscle, but not in a forcible way, just more of a progressive overload. So that way, you're hitting the muscle, you're putting way more pressure, it's growing, and you're also not overwhelming yourself with too much weight, because I know how it feels. And of course, the last thing is, because a lot of us have been conditioned to do like 3 sets of each exercise, and we think that that's enough. In my opinion, it is not. So whatever exercise you're doing, whatever muscle group you're working on, there's an exercise in there which is the hardest one, which brings you the most amount of results. So for example, let's say you want to build your chest. What you should be doing is doing incline bench, or a flat bench, anything that has to do with basically increasing how big your chest is, and doing that for 4 sets rather than 3 or even 5, right? So basically you're trying to increase the amount of sets you're doing on that particular exercise because it is the hardest one, and the more you do it, the more muscle you're gonna gain. So a lot of people are just like, oh, let me just do like 3 sets and that's it. It's like, bro, do one more for the exercises that actually matter. I wouldn't suggest for you to do it for like every single exercise, although you can go for that as well. It's just that you can't neglect those exercises which bring you the most amount of results. So focus on the 80-20 of whatever muscle group you're working on, which is your weak point, and do like 4 sets of more reps. That way, like, it's much better, believe me. And don't go like ego lifting and shit. Don't be a dumbass, because I've done this before and believe me, like, it's not the best thing. It's much better for you to put on like 5-10 kilos or less weight, but do the exercise flawlessly with perfect form, and then increasing the amount of weight you put on top. Because whatever part of the muscle you're working on, it may be wrong because your reps are wrong. Like, your shoulders might not be inside well, or your legs might be too close whenever you're doing like bicep curls. So the point is that the better your form is and the more reps you do, but not like as in a cutting way, right? So you're not trying to cut, you're not trying to like decrease the weight and increase the reps. That's not what I'm saying. I'm basically saying that you need to increase the reps as well as the weight, right? We want to do both. But it doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be like 5 or 10 more reps. It can be like 2 or 3. The point is that we have to progressively overload a little bit more every single time. If you want to maximize your looks and you're interested in a network of like-minded guys on the same path as you, click the first link in the description to join our movement. There are also 2 free courses in there that will help you start your attractiveness journey starting right now. Stop wasting time.